Hello, friends, and welcome back to the English Chat Hub. I'm Alex, your host, and I'm so happy you're here today. We've got a super fun and important topic for all English learners. Stop thinking, start talking. And of course, I'm joined by my awesome co-host, Maya. Hi, Maya. How are you today?
Hey, Alex, I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. I'm so excited about today's episode because this is something so many English learners find hard. Thinking too much before they speak instead of just talking. They worry about grammar, how they sound, or if they're saying things right, and that stops them from getting better.
You're so right, Maya. I hear this all the time from learners. What if I mess up? What if people don't understand me? What if I sound funny? And because of this fear, they don't speak English at all. But here's the truth. If you want to speak English well, you have to stop thinking too much and just start talking.
Yes, exactly. The more you talk, the better you get. But how do you stop thinking too much? How do you learn to speak in a more easy and natural way? That's what we'll talk about today.
So, if you're someone who always waits before speaking English because you're scared, stay with us until the end. We'll share some easy tips, fun exercises, and ways to change how you think so you can speak English with confidence and without thinking too much. Let's get started. Before we share solutions, let's talk about the problem first. Why do so many English learners think too much before they speak? What's stopping them from just talking naturally, Maya?
Good question, Alex. I think one big reason is the fear of making mistakes. Many learners think, what if I say something wrong? What if people laugh at me? This fear makes them stay quiet instead of trying to talk.
That's so true. And the funny thing is, people who speak English as their first language make mistakes all the time. They say words wrong, forget grammar rules, or even make sentences that aren't perfect. But they keep talking because they don't think too much about it.
Right. But English learners often feel they need to speak perfectly. So they stop, they try to fix their words too much, and in the end, they don't say anything at all. That's a big problem because the only way to get better is to practice talking.
Yes, exactly. Another reason learners think too much is because they translate from their first language. Instead of making sentences in English, they think in their own language first, then try to change it word by word. That takes a lot of time, so by the time they're ready to talk, the conversation is already over.
Yes, and that makes them feel upset, so they stop trying. Another problem is not feeling sure of themselves. Some learners think their accent isn't good, or they don't know enough words, so they stay quiet. And that silence makes things worse. The less you talk, the more nervous you feel about talking. It becomes a big cycle of thinking too much and avoiding English.
So true. But here's the good news. You don't need to be perfect to speak English well. You just need to be brave and keep talking. That's what we're here to help you with today.
Now that we know why learners think too much, let's talk about how to fix it. Why is talking without thinking too much the key to speaking English well, Alex?
Great question, Maya. The main reason is that speaking well comes from practice, not from being perfect. The more you talk, the faster your brain gets at making sentences in a natural way. If you always stop to think about grammar or words before you talk, you'll never get the speed and confidence you need.
That's so true. Think about how kids learn to talk. They don't learn grammar first, right? They just listen, try to say words, and keep talking, even if they're wrong. Over time, they get better naturally.
Exactly. And grown-ups can learn the same way. Instead of waiting until your English is perfect, you should talk as much as you can, even if you make mistakes. That's how you really learn to speak well.
Yes. I always tell learners, talk first, fix later. If you worry too much about being right while you're talking, it slows you down. But if you just talk and fix small mistakes later, you'll sound much more natural.
That's a great tip. And here's another thing. People who speak English don't care about small mistakes. If you say what you mean clearly, they'll understand you. No one is judging you as much as you think.
Right. And when you're relaxed and natural while talking, you sound more sure of yourself. Being sure makes people listen to you more than perfect grammar does.
So true. And let's be honest, even people who speak English as their first language make grammar mistakes, but they keep going. So learners should do the same. The more you practice talking without stopping, the faster you'll get better.
Maya. Yes. So now that we know why thinking less and talking more is important, let's move on to the fun part. Easy tips to help you stop thinking too much and start speaking with confidence.
This is the best part of today's episode. Easy tips to help you stop thinking too much and start talking. Maya, let's start with the first tip. What's one good way to stop waiting and just talk?
One of the best ways is to think in English instead of changing words from your first language. If you always change words in your head before talking, it slows you down. But if you teach your brain to think in English, words will come out faster and easier.
If you like this episode, make sure to practice the quick talking challenge we did earlier and keep pushing yourself every day. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast for more fun tips and encouragement. Thanks for joining us today, and remember, stop thinking, start talking. See you next time.
Bye, everyone. Keep practicing and stay confident.